I'm excited to talk to you today, Angela, about some of
Yeah.
your presentations and what you do with CI and also with Cosmobiology Institute and also with vibrational astrology. So it'd be nice to hear your path and what you're doing, what you do with this work. So tell us, for people that may not know you yet, how did you get into vibrational astrology and that led you to Cosmobiology Institute?
Well, quite some time ago, I started listening to a podcast that Ann Ortley used to do called The Weekly Weather. And this was, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or so. And when she was talking and I was first listening, the things that she was saying were quite a bit over my head. But I was really interested, started, writing things down, researching things and all of that. Well, I believe it was in 2019, probably the beginning of 2019. Um, she went on and started talking about this new type of astrology called vibrational astrology. And the way that she described it was it's crazy accurate and scary accurate at the same time. And that just like lit up all of my little buttons. And I was like, oh, I have to know more. I have to figure out what this is about. And so from then I started, I believe there was a conference that year, or maybe it was the next year. It was like the first like online vibrational astrology conference. And I started in that way, going to those. And I studied with Santino in his leadership class several years ago and really just started learning everything there was to know about it that I could absorb.
That's awesome. So that's really interesting too. So you started in 2020 that's and you've been working with vibrational astrology. Most of what you do is consulting work or um, other things in vibrational astrology.
Mostly consulting, but you know, working with the Cosmobiology Institute, there's like a lot that goes into that as well. But most of the research and stuff, I rely on people like you, Santino, just because my time's limited, and I think a lot of people should understand that. And we could probably talk a little bit more about this later, but when you going to this conference or being a part of Cosmobiology Institute, you don't have to be a researcher. This is really about looking at the research that is done and having confidence in your practice as an astrologer. So I think that's an important message that I do understand research. I don't have time to do it. Not everybody does. But I rely on a lot of other people to keep the research up.
Yeah, that makes sense because we can only do what we can do, and we all have different parts that we're good at and so on and so forth. So that makes a lot
Exactly.
of sense. Yeah. So, when you work with VA and you're going to be, your presentation at the conference is going to be using vibrational astrology and the methods of vibrational astrology.
Um, right. So it has to do with the psychology and different topics as the research has been done by different people. Santino has done a lot of the research. Michelle Love has done some of the research on eating disorders. So it'll be touching the new findings between introversion and extroversion, eating disorders, and also the new discoveries in bipolar disorder. Santino wrote a very detailed book about that. There have been new findings. So it's really going to be discussing most of that. I think and being a part of the Cosmobiology Institute, we understand that right now astrology stands at a crossroads. On one hand, it has never been more popular. Millions of people are having their charts read, exploring planetary cycles and patterns. Um, and the interest in astrology is growing all over the world, but popularity and credibility are not the same thing. And that brings us to a very important question, which is what responsibility do we have to examine the methods that we practice? So, as you know, for generations, Astrologers have inherited techniques from teachers, traditions, historical texts, and so on. And there's a lot of great value in that tradition, but today we live in a very different world, and we have different tools that are accessible to us that were not there for these astrologers of the past. And it's really important that we use these tools, this through statistical analysis, computers, research methods, to examine and ask the question that if we have the ability to look at astrology carefully, do we have an ethical responsibility to do so? And at the Cosmobiology Institute, we believe that answer is yes. And our mission is dedicated to the empirical verification of relationships between cosmic phenomena and organic life. And in simple terms, we ask the question, do astrological variables produce measurable effects? And if they do, what are those effects? Where are they strongest? What patterns hold up to scrutiny and so forth? So these questions are not about weakening astrology. The questions are about strengthening it. If we're to survive, if astrology is to survive and evolve in the skeptical world that we're in, it must withstand the scrutiny of these questions. So we're refining methods now. We're able to do that through a lot of different means. And we imagine being able to practice astrology with more confidence. And anybody who is an astrological practitioner would benefit from more confidence in their practice. And that's really what the Cosmic Discovery Conference is about. It's about bringing together astrologers, researchers, mathematicians, psychologists, and exploring all of these ideas. We'll share discoveries, we'll question assumptions, and examine different techniques. But most importantly, it's about collaboration and bringing people together to really not be afraid to ask the questions that should be asked of astrology and where we find these answers, and really understanding that we have to go with what the evidence shows us. And it's important that to endure in this sort of skeptical world that we live in, we have to question, because people are going to be questioning us. So the conference is really there to bring like-minded people together to ask those questions, not be afraid to talk about these ideas. And we have a huge tons of content at the conference. So if you can come, it's definitely going to be to your benefit as an astrologer. Like I said, you don't have to be a researcher. We're going to have a class on Friday so the conference is April 24th through 26th in Nashville. And one of the sessions on Friday, Christopher Benton is going to be talking to astrologers about the language of basically statistics and how to translate some of the terms and things like that, because that is a little bit of a learning curve when you're talking about data and research methods and so forth. And really, we're just using the same research methods, and we believe in using the same research methods that medicine and science have used for several decades. So we're going to have, I'm looking at my list here as my little cheat sheet, but we're going to dive deep into zodiac signs. Some of the things that we have been taught through tradition may not be 100% right. So we're going to look at what the data is telling us about different zodiac signs. And not only that, but asking the question, are zodiac signs the same in the southern hemisphere as they are in the northern hemisphere? I think this is a question that a lot of people have had for years. And now we're really able to do the deep dive and the research into figuring that out. And I know Vincent Godbout has done an excellent job at research in that area. You're going to be giving a presentation on the fixed stars. They're not just archetypes. It is energy, and what does that energy hold? We also have presentations. I know Santino is doing one on planetary patterns and peak athletic performance. Where do we see planetary patterns in high achieving athletes? I think that's fascinating. And also, he in our keynote address on Friday, he's going to be talking about compatibility patterns and looking at, I believe it's 20,000. Is it 20,000? That number seems like a lot, but I think it is. Married couples and basically what the research, yeah, 20,000, and what the research shows that brings people together and creates lasting relationships. And again, that's not going to be the same that, we've been taught in astrology for a long time. So, oh, and I am going to be, sorry, Starlene, I know you were in the
That's
middle of your
okay.
questions, but I get so excited about talking about this. So we do have a new presenter at the conference. Super excited. Her name is Manda Selva, and she is going to be talking about midpoints and specifically midpoint patterns in very violent events, one of them being school shootings. These are huge topics to talk about, extremely
Yeah.
important and very heavy. But can you imagine the insight that we can gain from some of these conversations? And so there's just so much to talk about and discuss. We're going to have panels by excuse me, very researched astrologers and very well-known astrologers who are going to pull apart these conversations and say, yeah, your data looks good, but have you thought about this? One of the things that I really enjoy about the Cosmobiology Institute is that we do not practice just one form of astrology. We accept pretty much all forms as long as it goes through an evidence-based process and research, and we can test the techniques that are being used. And we're not afraid to say, hey, have you thought about this? Or pull apart somebody's ideas. So we're going to be having real conversations. It's not just people talking at you the whole time. So that's exciting too.
Yeah, I think that is one of the neatest things about being in person. You get to talk to the person. There's such a different energy. Being online is great, but being in person, you can sit there and you can take your time and show them, walk them through your program or whatever you're showing them and really get in deeper. So it's going to be really nice that it is an online conference for us to do that with. I'm excited about it too. And also, of course, all the other speakers, it'll be so great to be able to communicate with them in person too. So that's really
Sure.
lovely. So,
Yeah.
I was wondering too, most of the questions that I had were you kind of covered in this intro here, which is great. But I was wondering if you have like what I know I know you told us what drew you to vibrational astrology, but is there a
Mhm.
part of vibrational astrology that you find works really well in your practice, as if it's something that you see repeated repetitively, like certain vibrations or certain midpoint patterns? Is there anything like that that we can take from this?
Sure.
Hmm.
Well, one of the things that drew me, like I said, to vibrational astrology is the fact that it's scary accurate. And I mean that not just because of the technique that's used. And one of the things that people don't understand, because I think they have some sort of misconception about what vibrational astrology is people think it's very heavy into math. Like you have to do all of these fractions and basically like you're doing math all the time and looking at, calculating midpoints and all of that. So I'm here to tell you that's not the case.
Hmm.
There is software that does all of that for you. And really understanding VA or vibrational astrology is about really understanding the concepts of it and the fact that it is a little bit different than traditional astrology. But the so the scary accurate part is what drew me to it and what I still find today. But it's scary accurate because it's an evidence based technique. So it was founded on that theory. And being evidence based just means that it's been put through rigorous testing, and lots of different research techniques have gone into the findings of vibrational astrology. Um, if you look at when we talk about vibrations, we're really talking about harmonics, or what most people, most astrologers would consider a harmonic. Um, and it's really a harmonic, or a vibration is really just an aspect, and it's looking at it through a very specific microscope and a very specific lens, without getting too much in detail. But I will tell you that if you are an astrologer, if you're somebody who sort of questions authority, look at your 11th vibration. I was thinking about this earlier today. Um, the 11th vibration is really about this sort of like instability, but it's also about restlessness and the ability to not accept things at face value. So, what's fascinating to me about that is that really speaks to what Cosmobiology Institute is. And I guarantee you, I'm sure you have a very strong 11th vibe. I know I do. That means that we question things. We're never settled on the traditional answer as being the right thing. We have to look deeper. We have to look at a broader perspective. And also, just understanding that things are moving all the time. There is a restless energy about that. So, um, yeah, I don't know. 11 kind of always seemed scary in the beginning when I was thinking about it, but I've come to learn through practice and through really doing a lot of research on my own that it really is just a vibration that I think a lot of astrologers have, because we don't take the normal path in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that makes sense. My favorite thing about vibrational astrology is the way it is elegant. It's so, if you understand the framework of it, the difference between the energy process of something, a planet or a sign or aspect, and you understand their symptoms. So that's the arc I always try to tell
Yeah.
people, because it's not like we're saying archetypes or these other things are not real. We're saying those can happen, but what happens is the energy process. And if you go back to the energy process of everything, you'll see it. That's the clarity you get, right? So when you
Hmm.
understand that, then you'll understand where the symptoms come in, and that's what we would call archetypes, one level of symptoms, if you will. So that's the beauty of
Absolutely.
it. And I love that about vibrational astrology. It gives you just very pinpoint
And
accuracy.
also, like, to me, midpoints always made sense as being more powerful than one planet alone. Why not have, why wouldn't you look at the energy exchange between two planets and what's happening right in the middle there? So, when you use midpoints and you use strong planetary patterns, and then you put all of that in a microscope, and then you add a bunch of research to it, I mean, it is scary accurate. So um, to me, that's what's exciting too, is that you're not afraid to look deeper, at higher vibrations and higher energy that's going on. And also really the learning and the teaching that we are all frequencies, and it's how we tune into the energy that we have. That's the energy of the moment as well. It just makes sense to me. And I don't have
Yeah,
to do math, and that people don't believe
I
me when I say that about VA. You don't have to do
I
math.
I was not good at math in school, but I mean, I managed through it, but yeah,
Yeah.
I will agree with that. That the software does it for you. You just need to figure the software part out. And I mean, most astrologers know software anyway, because how do you make charts? Most people don't do them by hand anymore. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love the idea of what you were saying too. We have these tools. The tools are one, the software that keeps getting better and better. And then we also have the ability to connect with each other, which is getting better and better with things like the Cosmic Discovery Conference. And we get the opportunity to inspire each other and work together because of that. The world is getting smaller on some level, which is great because we're getting to understand things more collectively, which is why one of the reasons I love CI, because we get to work collectively. That to me, that makes perfect sense for this work
And I
and gives us
do, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. No, it's okay. I was just going to say, and it gives us the ability to check ourselves. So we're not working in a bubble, right? Just ourselves. And that's, antiquity of time would have us being astrologers doing the seven vibe thing, which is more of the internal stuff. And I have both, 7 and 11. So I think 77 might be fairly high in my vibrations. I know 70 is, but point is that you have that internal part, but now we're getting the opportunity to work with other people because we have these tools and we have the ability to do research like we've never done before. It wasn't
Absolutely.
there.
And I mean, it is, we should feel an ethical responsibility to astrology, to our practice, to test theories and not just rely on the traditional way of doing things. Tradition is very important. It's where we get the ideas and the inspiration from. But now that we have the tools available to us, it is our responsibility to test and to put these practices to the same thing that medicine goes through and psychology and science. I mean, to not think that we to think that we don't have a responsibility to do that, to me is it's not safe. It's not a safe way to practice. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and at the conference, you like coming to the conference, you will learn a ton and you will walk away with real tools, real ideas and techniques that you can take and use in your practice. And it will make you better at what you do. And if you don't have a practice, if you just want to learn more about what's going on, this is for you too. I mean, you don't,
Yeah.
sometimes when I go to a conference or I'm in a class and I don't feel like I'm like quite ready to participate, I just sit on the side or I sit in the back and I just listen, and that's fine too. I mean, it's nobody's going to pressure you into to participating if you're really just there to learn and absorb, which is totally fine.
Yeah. That's great too, because the opportunity to communicate with everyone and understand what they're teaching, and there'll be plenty of time in between the lectures, the presentations as well. So that'll be great. And we do have a beginning track. We have a beginning, I forget what it's called. Don't we have a beginning one?
Well, yeah, I mean, we are doing the talk on like the pre-conference workshop, and also and the pre-conference workshop is really, and Santino is actually going to be teaching this. It really gets into, where did these discoveries start coming from? A lot of people think that it's this high math and high science that drove us to find things in the world like gravity and, these big topics. But really, it's just somebody's idea and somebody's like thought, hey, I want to figure out how this works. And there is mystery involved in that. And so we're not, what we're doing is we're saying that we can take any idea, any crazy idea that you have, and put it through this testing and let's figure it out. Why not? Why not figure it
Yeah.
out? And one thing that I will mention that is super fascinating to me, and this is slightly off topic, but he is going to be there and I am holding him to this. So Vincent Godbout, who is an incredible researcher, mathematician, astrologer. He is Canadian, so we have to forgive him for that. But he is also a mentalist, which is fascinating to me. And I have been told that he can read minds. Now, I know they don't call it reading minds, like there's a trick or like, magic or something behind it, but he is definitely giving some sort of presentation. We are working that into the weekend and I'm really excited. He is not going to be reading my mind, but somebody else can be the guinea pig.
That
But
makes sense.
so even the people that have the most mathematic brain out there, they do believe in magic, and they do believe in bringing that to the table too. So that's just a fun little tidbit there. If we get
That
any
will be really,
registrations just to see Vincent, I'm going to give him like a bonus or something.
that'll be awesome. Yeah, Vincent is fun and he's a very interesting person. I've done an interview with him already, so that was really exciting. I'm excited to be talking to everybody too, like yourself
Yeah.
today, because it's very nice to be able to get to know a little bit about you. So when people come to meet you at the conference, they can feel comfortable with you and get to know you. I have another question. So
Yep.
about your presentation is going to be on different psychology, like updates that we've done with the research, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about
Yep.
that?
Yeah, so there are three different topics that basically we're going to be touching on. And these are not things that are well, a couple of them are not brand new, but we have new information. And so this is really just following the research that has been done mostly by Santino. Michelle Love has done some amazing research on these topics as well. So I'll be presenting what our findings on introversion and extroversion have become. Some of the stuff could surprise you. It's a little bit different than what our traditional belief system shows. Also, we're going to be talking about eating disorders. We've had this conversation. CI has done a presentation on eating disorders. We're going to be talking about some of the new findings that are available for that. And then we're also going to be diving into the bipolar disorder topic and the new information that's come out of that. Santino has a book that he wrote on that topic, and so we'll be talking about a few more additional pieces of information that should be fascinating to learn about.
Awesome. That will be great. So you'll be giving us updates on the things that have already been put out there. That will
Yep.
be really, and that's one of the things I love about this conference. I'm not sure about Manda's because I haven't seen her work before, but if that has been presented, but I think everyone's presentation is new material, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I believe so, yeah. And if it's not brand new, it's a new take on it. There's new information that has come out.
Right.
Um,
That's what I meant. Yeah, like there's
yeah.
something new that comes from it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Manda's information is pretty intense, and I
Yeah.
really look forward to meeting her and hearing that as well. So,
Yeah, it's those intense conversations that draw me in. I get like really connected to him because then I'm like, oh, let me look at my chart. Not that I would be that intense, but it's like what's going on around me? How does it, can it affect me or other people's charts? So it's very interesting to learn about those topics. Yeah. So I'm curious, what just on a side note here, what person are you most excited to hear talk at the conference this year?
I think you're going to get me in trouble if I
I'll
if I
have
commit
to
to
edit this out
anybody.
later.
It's live, Starlene.
All of us.
You weren't supposed
That's
to
right.
ask hard questions. All of you. I am excited to hear and see all of you. Okay, I'm like, I love information on. So, one of the things that I really enjoy in practicing, having an astrology practice and reading charts for people is finding these like hidden talents and abilities that people may not be tuned into. Um, and then being able to look at people that are extreme examples of a certain topic, whether it's like a songwriters or um, artists or anything like that, and being able to see the patterns and the consistencies in their charts and in their energy patterns. So Santino's conversation or presentation on peak athletic performance to me is going to be fascinating. I can't wait for that because um, it's just I really enjoy finding and seeing those types of patterns in people who are extremely talented in certain areas because it leads to lots of discoveries in other parts as well. So I'm excited about that one, but I'm excited about all of them. I mean, Geez, midpoint patterns in school shootings. I mean,
I know that,
that's heavy, and it will
yeah.
come with some very eye-opening information, I'm sure.
It most definitely will. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see, well, Santino's is really exciting to me. The pre-conference is the Magic in Modern Science. I'm really excited about that because he's bringing this scientific astrology, if you will, all
Hmm.
astrology is scientific on some level, but this evidence-based approach to astrology into the sense of reminding us or showing us that we're not separate from the magical part of it. And you kind of touched on that earlier, but I think that that's going to be such a cool pre-conference workshop. I'm really excited for that. But honestly, I'm excited for everybody. I like interviewing so I can kind of get this the little inside scoop, but I like that because it gets me more excited for everybody too. So we will be putting out these videos for the other speakers as well. I've done one with Vincent, and then I will be doing the other speakers. Will be putting them out in the next couple weeks. We'll be sharing them with you too, so you can check those out. So that's another great thing that you'll be able to see.
And
Um,
I will just put a little teaser out there that Anne Ortley, who I mentioned earlier as being sort of one of my mentors, she's actually going to be on the panel in these panel discussions and helping ask the questions of the this research, like, diving deeper. Have you looked at this? What about this theory?
she's
Because
the
we're not.
best.
She's the best,
Yep.
and we're not afraid to ask those questions. That's what we're
Hmm.
about, and really, it's about collaborating and pulling people together that have a mind that wants to dive deeper.
She did that to me. My very first presentation was at the Vibrational Astrology Conference in 2019, and she's sitting in the front row. And I was already nervous because it was my first presentation, but I was excited. And I did a presentation on relocation astrology, and then she asked me a
Mm.
question about mundane astrology, or not mundane, about what's the word now? I forgot. It escaped me. But a different way of looking at relocation astrology, and I didn't really know the word, so I got stuck. But Santino came up and was like, "Oh, let me answer that for you." So it was cool. But she was great because she said to me, "You hurt my brain." I was like, "You were so funny," because she said it just filled her up, and it was so amazing. So that was awesome. I really appreciate that there is the community around us that we're all trying to learn from each other, and we couldn't all do this on our own. So that's what I think is a really good point to this in-person conference too, because we get that community. We do meet, we have meetings and things like that, and that's wonderful. But the in-person part, we get to share these things with people that
And
are really
yeah,
also digging in.
and you
Yeah,
get to ask questions and have lunch with them and all of these things that you wouldn't get to otherwise. So um, that's the great thing about meetings and live events is that you get the one-on-one type of conversation and interaction for sure.
yeah, definitely. So, is there anything you want to share before we close, Angela? Any additional things you want to share?
So I want people to register and go to this conference. It is going to be big. It is and not big in numbers necessarily, maybe it will, but it's going to be big in the information that is going to come out of this. So I do think it's very important. The website for registration is cosmicdiscoveryconference.com, or you can go to the Cosmobiology Institute's website, which is cosmobiologyinstitute.org, and register there. I think we have a few of the coupons left for, I think it's $150 off registration, which is awesome. But it is
Yeah,
limited. There's only a few more, I think, that are available. And that coupon code is FIRST50, FIRST 50. And yeah, come to the come to the conference, meet everybody, enjoy, like, bring your topics. If there's research that you've been doing, this is a perfect opportunity to ask questions of some of the top researchers in this field. I will say that we also have several video presentations that are coming from out of the country colleagues that have submitted their research to us. So we'll be able to watch those videos and take a look at the information that's coming from them. So thanks,
Yeah, that will be
Starlene. I appreciate
fantastic.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, it was great. I'm glad we got to talk, and I hope that everybody listening was able to get something out of this. And I hope to see you all at the conference too.
absolutely. Me too. Thank you.
You're
Bye,
welcome. Thank
everybody.
you. Bye.